Saladin, Saladin, Saladin. You have been holding out on us. As much fun as I've had with the weapons of Fenala, Bretamar and Nerwin, and others, I don't think I've had as much fun as I have with the Saladin's Vigil. A quick explanation of fusion rifles, how I understand it. Every fusion rifle fires 7 bolts per shot, and the differences are mainly the damage per bolt and the charge up time before it fires those bolts. The Saladin's Vigil has a slow charge up time, but it only requires 4 out of those 7 bolts to actually kill an enemy guardian. The charge up time does make the weapon a little tricky to use defensively, and I find that you really need to be in the habit of preemptively charging your shots and adjusting just before it fires. On a side note, one of the things I really enjoy doing is approaching from the air and charging my Saladin Vigils so that it fires just as I hit the ground, because it's a sweet feeling when that actually happens. The other thing about fusion rifles is that there are usually 2 trains of thoughts in regards to which stats to focus on, range and stability. Now, from what I understand, range works differently for fusion rifles compared to other weapons. Fusion rifles fire projectiles, so what range does is actually increase the speed of those bolts, making it useful in getting a target that is some distance away. Stability relates to recoil and how the bullets are grouped together when they are fired. High stability is obviously good, as the closer your bullets are grouped together, the more likely your bolts will actually hit the target, getting you the kill. Here's where it gets a little bit tricky. The main argument for stability not being as important as range is that you can control your recoil. As the shot fires, by holding down on the right thumbstick, you'll actually make the bolts tighter. Of course, this actually takes a little bit of practice, and it's down to yourself to get the feeling right of how much downward force needs to be applied, just so that it becomes second nature. Anyway, back to the Saladin Vigil and the perks. Both of mine has Rangefinder, which is probably the most important perk there. I'll come back to this in a second. As for the rest of the perks, to start off with, you'll want to be using Linear Compensator, as it makes the recoil more vertical. In the top node of the first column, all the perks are good, but my top one would be Rifled Barrel. You can get away with using the rest of them, but Rifled Barrel is the one that you want. In the bottom node of the first column, Braced Frame is king. Everything else is bad. They either reduce range or stability. Not really what you want to be doing with fusion rifles. Simply put, if you get Braced Frame, great. If not, use whatever you got in the top node. The second column honestly does not matter. All the perks in the top and bottom node will benefit you one way or another. The one you want to avoid using though is Accelerated Coils. Why? Because it changes it from a 4 bolt to a 5 bolt to kill, which kind of defeats the point of this weapon. As I mentioned earlier, in the final column you'll want Rangefinder. It tightens the bolt spread when aiming down sights, and more stability is always welcome. In the event of no Rangefinder, I personally don't really use the Saladin's Vigil. Hot Swap doesn't really suit my style, as I use the Vigil more like a primary, and unflinching, while it's good, isn't really something that I like to use on a weapon that has such a slow charge up time. The rest of the perks in the last column are either too situational or reward you after you get the kill, so it's not much use in the current gunfight. I actually have 3 almost perfect Saladin Vigil. On the first I have Braced Frame, and I used Enhanced Battery to counteract the ammo loss from Braced Frame. Plus the slow charge up time means quick draw is kind of pointless and isn't really going to help me out in a defensive situation. The second Saladin Vigil has Rifled Barrel and Lightweight, and the final one has Rifled Barrel, Braced Frame, Enhanced Battery, Quick Draw and Hot Swap, but it lacks Rangefinder, which really disappointed me as it was 1 perk away from being absolute perfection. My thoughts on these weapons in different activities. In PvP, all of them are really good, though I don't really use the third Saladin Vigil as much as I should, though my Warlock is in need of a fusion rifle, so I might just give that to her. In strikes and other PvE activities, all of them are good, especially on targets with no critical spots like Vex Minotaurs and certain bosses. It also helps that my Saladin Vigil void, so, you know, that helps in the raid. It's especially useful on captains as well, and on monitors as the damage drop-off is pretty far. Shanks also don't explode if you vaporize them with a fusion rifle. I find it less useful on the siege engine in Axis Phase 1, but in Axis Phase 2 it becomes useful again when you need to do damage to Axis during his teleports and you can't get close enough to use a sword, or you just can't hit your sniper's shots because Axis head is bobbing all over the place. All in all, this Saladin Vigil is an excellent weapon, worth grinding for. I'm gonna give it an S rank because it is so much fun once you master it. Hopefully you found this helpful and are better equipped to make your own judgment when you go to the Archon's Forge to grind Sally's V. Yeah, that line sounded a lot better in my head. Anyway, that's it from me. Take care of yourself and keep being you.